Thanks, Mr. President. Mr. President, I rise today to voice my support for Jennifer Hall's nomination to serve as the next U.S. District Court Judge for Delaware. Before I describe what makes Jennifer Hall particularly well-suited for the role, let me just take a moment, if I can, to describe our approach to filling court vacancies in the first state. For over a decade, my colleague, my wingman, if you will, from Delaware, Senator Chris Coons, and I have relied on a collaborative process for putting forward U.S. District Court recommendations to the White House, regardless of who's in the White House. And with the help of a judicial nominating commission, Senator Coons and I worked to identify some of the most qualified individuals in Delaware in order to recommend them to the President, regardless of political party. The process serves Delaware well, serves our nation well, and has yielded yet another extraordinary nominee before us today. As they often say, justice delayed is justice denied, justice delayed is justice denied. And it's critical that we act swiftly to confirm Jennifer Hall to Delaware's U.S. District Court. It's one of the busiest, if not maybe the busiest, district court in the nation. I also want to take a moment and thank Judge Rich Andrews for his service to this court and also to our state and to our nation. I know that when he takes senior status at the end of this year, Jennifer Hall will be well prepared to help take on an enormous workload before the court. Now, I'd like to share just a little bit more, if I could, about her with our colleagues today. Jennifer grew up in Minnesota and is a proud graduate of the University of Minnesota, home of those Golden Gophers, where she earned a bachelor's degree in biochemistry. She then made her way to Yale, where she met her husband Dave and earned not one but 2 degrees, a master's and a PhD in both molecular physics and biochemistry. But apparently 3 degrees weren't enough, so she continued her studies at the University of Pennsylvania's Law School, where she graduated magna cum laude and immediately began a successful legal career. In the years that followed, she had the distinction of clerking for 2 federal judges appointed by President George W. Bush. Jennifer went on to work at Fish & Richardson, a Wilmington, Delaware law firm, where she focused on patent law and other complex business issues. After 3 years in private practice, she felt called to serve the people of Delaware and of America. She spent the next 8 years at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware. Then in 2019, Jennifer was selected to serve as a magistrate judge at the U.S. District Court for Delaware, the same court to which she's now been nominated to serve as a federal judge. The last 4 years have given her some of the best preparation and on-the-job training that anyone could ask for. Magistrate Judge Hall has impressed her colleagues on the bench, both with her intellect and her work ethic, and she has a deep respect and knowledge of the law. Her background as a scientist, as a legal scholar, and as a magistrate judge have prepared her well for this new role. And I strongly urge my colleagues to vote to confirm Magistrate Judge Jennifer Hall to serve as the next U.S. District Court Judge for Delaware. I'm certain she's going to be ready to hit the ground running on day one, especially in a district court as busy and as important as Delaware's. Before I yield back my time, I'm going to be joined here momentarily, I believe, by Senator Coons, my colleague from Delaware, and who serves on the Judiciary Committee, and with whom I served and enjoyed the opportunity to serve with him for our state. We have I think, probably not the kind of close working relationship when it comes to judicial nominations that you find in most other states. We do it as a team. And we have great help and folks on our nominating commission who help make sure we not only identify excellent candidates, but actually be able to present them for confirmation to today. Mr. President, as presiding officer, and as my friend, I think you know that I'm a recovering governor. I used to serve as governor of Delaware for 8 years. And as governor in Delaware, the governor gets to nominate people to serve on Court of Chancery, Superior Court, Family Court, Supreme Court, and to submit those names as to the legislature for their consideration, to the Senate rather. And I always looked for 3 or 4 qualities, if you will, in the people I nominated as governor to serve on the bench in Delaware, because even though it's state courts, we consider some of the major issues of our country, business laws and others. One of the things I always look for in nominees, people that are smart. I want to find people who have not just book smart, but actually are wise. I look for people who had a strong work ethic. I look for people who believe in the golden rule, treating the folks who come before them in their courtroom the way that they want to be treated. And people with just integrity that just cannot ever be questioned. Those are just some of the criteria that I looked for in my judicial nominees. For 8 years, I submitted names to the Senate, the state Senate in Delaware. They all went before the executive committee, and eventually were considered. Every one of those nominees were confirmed, which says a lot about Delaware, And I would hope that we'll take similar kind of action here today. Jennifer got a good vote on cloture, and my hope is we can replicate that as well. But I will yield back. I don't know if I can reserve time so that when Senator Coons arrives, he'll have time left as well, but as I know he's trying to get here. But this is, I think, a proud day for Delaware, and I know it is for Jennifer and her family. Thank you, Mr. President. And with that, I yield back. Thank you.